Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to do something a little different. I want you to close your eyes. Well, don't close your eyes if you're driving, but mentally step into a time machine with us.
We're going forward, but not too far, just a couple of years.
Exactly. We are landing in February 2026, and it is a very specific, very chaotic moment in the tech world.
Yeah.
Anthropic has just released computer use capabilities, specifically a new feature called Claude Cowork. And the immediate reaction, it's not applause, it's panic.
It is absolute mayhem in the markets. I mean, if you were looking at your stock portfolio in this hypothetical February, you'd be seeing a lot of red.
Oh yeah, the headlines are screaming, business suicide. The critics are baffled. They're basically asking, why on earth would a company release a product that seems, designed to destroy its own revenue stream?
It looks like a massive unforced error.
It really does.
It does. From the outside, you have this SaaS company, software as a service, which is like the darling business model of the last 20 years. It's stable.
So stable.
And it's predictable. And then Anthropic just introduces something that fundamentally breaks it.
And that is exactly what we are going to unpack today. We have a fascinating strategy document, sort of a post-mortem of this moment, titled Agentic Pivot and the Death of the Seat. And it dives right into this idea of the cannibalization trap.
Which is a terrifying term for any CEO.
It really is. The core tension is this. If one AI agent can do the work of 3 junior developers, well, companies are logically going to buy fewer subscriptions.
Of course. Fewer humans means fewer seats to pay for.
Right. If I don't need 3 humans, I don't need 3 logins. I don't need 3 licenses.
Exactly.
So the mission for this deep dive is to get past that surface level panic. We need to understand why trading those safe, cozy SaaS seats for something called digital labor isn't a mistake.
Right.
In fact, according to our sources, this agentic pivot is the only viable survival strategy Anthropic has left.
It's a classic case of short-term pain for long-term gain. But what makes this so interesting, and what we'll get into, is the math. The financial mechanics behind this are they're mind-blowing once you dig into the compute costs.
Okay, let's start with the panic, though. We have to understand the status quo to really get why breaking it is so scary. So, the suicide math, as the critics call it.
To understand the panic, you have to understand the seat. The SaaS seat is like the holy grail of modern business. It's why companies like Salesforce and Slack and Zoom became absolute giants.
It's the subscription model. You charge a company a flat fee, say $20 or $30 a month, for every human employee who needs access.
And Wall Street absolutely loves this. It's called ARR, annual recurring
Revenue.
It is boring and it is beautiful. You can predict your earnings years in advance. If a company has 1,000 employees, you know you're getting paid for 1,000 seats.
It's like a gym membership. You pay every single month whether you go or not.
That is the perfect analogy. Because, like a gym membership, the usage is capped by human nature. And this is the crucial point our source makes. The seat model is safe, but it's limited by the biological constraints of the user.
Okay, walk me through that. How is a human a limitation on revenue?
Well, just think about your average workday. You have to sleep, you have to eat, you take coffee breaks, you get pulled into meetings where you aren't using the software at all.
And frankly, even when I am typing, I am not typing that fast.
Exactly. Even the fastest coder in the world has a hard limit on how many lines of code they can output or how many times they can hit enter to ping the server.
So from a server cost perspective, humans are actually pretty cheap to support.
Extremely cheap. You might be logged in all month paying your $20, but you are only actively using the server resources, what we call compute, for a tiny fraction of that time. The margin on a human seat is huge because the human is, well, slow.
Okay, so that's the comfortable old world. Low usage, high margin, predictable revenue. Now, enter the threat. It's February 2026. Claude Cowork drops. And we are not talking about a chatbot anymore.
No. We have to be very clear about this distinction. A chatbot waits for you to talk to it. An agent acts. This computer use capability means the AI can see the screen, move the mouse, click buttons, and type. It can navigate complex interfaces just like you do.
But without the coffee break.
Without the coffee breaks, without the sleep, and without the need to go home at 5 p.m.
So this leads to the fear scenario. Let's do the math that has everyone freaking out. So you're a mid-sized tech company with a team of junior developers.
Okay, so the company looks at this new agent capability, And they realize, wait a minute, this agent can run all our regression tests. It can handle basic debugging. It can update our documentation.
And they do the math. They say we can fire 5 junior developers.
It's grim for the developers, absolutely. But look at it from Anthropic's side. That company just fired 5 humans.
Which means they cancel 5 seats.
5 seats. So if those seats were $20 a month, Anthropic just lost $100 a month in guaranteed revenue. Gone.
Right. And the company replaces those 5 humans with, say, 10 AI agents running via an API to do that same work.
And the suicide math assumes that the API fees for those agents will be cheaper than the $100 they were getting from the subscriptions.
Because we've been trained to think automation makes things cheaper. So investors see this and think, you are trading steady $100 checks for, what, pennies in API usage? You are cannibalizing your own customer base.
That is the surface level conclusion. And if you stop there, yes, it looks like Anthropic is just setting money on fire. It looks like they're destroying a high margin business for a low margin one.
Anthropic isn't run by idiots, so there have to be something wrong with that math.
The math is completely wrong, and this is the aha moment of the whole strategy document. The critics are assuming that an AI agent costs less to run than a human subscription.
And that assumption is just wrong.
It's factually incorrect.
This is the part that really surprised me, because I always assumed software was cheap. But we're talking about compute here. Let's break down what that actually means in this context.
Okay, so we have to look at the volume of work. We already established that a human generates only a few dollars of compute costs per month because we sleep and, we type slowly. Now, contrast that with an autonomous agent.
Okay, so this agent is working 204/7.
204/7. But it's not just online. It is blazing through tasks. Think about a developer's workflow. If you are debugging code, you look at the line, you think for a minute, you sip your coffee.
Maybe you Google something.
Right. An agent doesn't think in silence. For an agent to think, it has to run an inference step on a massive GPU cluster. It is burning electricity and processor power every single millisecond.
So it's thinking out loud, essentially, in terms of server cost.
That's a great way to put it. It's running thousands of inference steps per hour. It's navigating web pages, scraping data, filling out forms, checking databases, rewriting code, testing the code, failing, rewriting it again. It is speed running the job.
And all that activity, it adds up. The source material has a specific number here that just changes everything.
It's the daily burn rate. They estimate that an agent working at full capacity, doing real valuable work, can burn through $50 to $100 of compute.
Whoa, wait, per day.
Per day.
So, okay, compare that to the old model. The old model was $20 per month for a human seat.
Right.
And now you have an agent that might generate $50 per day in revenue for Anthropic.
Precisely. The math flips completely on its head. You aren't losing a $20 customer. You are gaining a customer that could generate, $1,500 or even $3,000 a month in usage fees.
That is exponential. It's not even in the same ballpark.
It's a total paradigm shift. It's like the difference between selling someone a bicycle and selling them a private jet. The fuel costs alone are in a different stratosphere.
So this is what the source calls the shift from the seat economy to the work economy.
Yes. And this is the key takeaway for anyone trying to understand the future of AI business models. In the seat economy, you charge for access. It's a cover charge just to get in the door.
Right.
In the work economy, you charge for the labor itself.
And since the labor potential of an AI is theoretically uncapped, it can work infinitely faster and longer than a human. The revenue potential is uncapped too.
Exactly. Think about the ceiling. In the SaaS model, your revenue is capped by the headcount of the company. A company with 50 employees will only ever buy 50 seats. They physically cannot buy more.
Right. I'm not going to buy a seat for my cat.
You're not. But in the work economy, a company with 50 employees might hire 500 agents if those agents are profitable. If an agent costs $50 a day but generates $200 of value, you will spin up as many as you possibly can. The ceiling is gone.
This leads us directly to a term in the document that I absolutely love, the empty chair paradox.
It sounds like a mystery novel, doesn't it?
It does, the mystery of the empty chair. But it describes this transition period perfectly.
Ideally, yeah. The paradox is that as companies buy fewer seats for humans, leaving those empty chairs in the physical office, they will simultaneously be hiring thousands of these digital agents.
So the office looks empty, but the digital workspace is more crowded than ever.
Precisely. And this connects to the total addressable market. We throw that acronym around in tech a lot, usually to justify some insane valuation. But the comparison here is staggering.
We're talking about the difference between billions and trillions.
Right. Look at the budget buckets inside a corporation, the total addressable market for software tools, productivity software, CRMs. It's in the billions. That's the IT budget.
And IT budgets are usually tight. You have to fight to get a new tool approved.
Oh, I know that fight. Do we really need the premium version of Slack?
Exactly. But the total addressable market for labor, the wages paid to people to actually do the work, is in the trillions. It is the single biggest expense for almost every company on Earth.
So by making this pivot, Anthropic isn't just trying to get a bigger slice of the software pie.
No, they are trying to eat the labor pie. They're effectively moving out of the software market entirely and entering the labor market. They aren't selling you a tool to help you work faster. They are selling you the worker itself.
That is a fundamental shift in what the company even is. They aren't a software company anymore. They're a digital labor company.
And that explains why the revenue potential is so much higher, despite that initial panic about losing those seats. You're tapping into the payroll budget, not the software budget.
And the payroll budget is where the real money is.
But let's go back to the chaos of February 2026, because even if the math works out in the long run, the immediate impact is messy. The source mentions the Syspocalypse.
It sounds dramatic, but it was a bloodbath in the markets. You saw investors absolutely terrified. Stocks like Salesforce, LegalZoom, even Intuit plummeted.
Why specifically those kinds of companies? Why would LegalZoom take a hit just because Anthropic released an agent?
Well, just follow the logic of computer use. If Anthropic's agents can use software autonomously, if Claude can log into Salesforce and update customer records or log into LegalZoom and file incorporation paperwork,
then humans don't need to do that.
right. The human need for those interfaces drops. It collapses. Companies like Salesforce spend billions of dollars designing beautiful, user-friendly interfaces for humans. They build drag-and-drop tools, dashboards, pretty charts, dark mode.
All the stuff that makes it bearable for us slow biological users to stare at a screen.
Exactly. But an AI agent doesn't care about dark mode. It doesn't need a dashboard. It interacts with the code or the API or it just reads the raw HTML. So if the agent is the one doing the work, the entire value proposition of user experience, it just collapses.
That is huge. It's like the agents are bypassing the need for the rest of the software stack to be human-centric.
Correct. And that scares the market to death. If I can just tell Claude, go file my taxes, and Claude does it, I don't care what tax software it uses in the background, and I certainly don't need to pay for a seat on that tax software myself.
So Anthropic becomes the interface, and everything else just becomes back-end plumbing.
That's the Syspocalypse, the commoditization of the application layer.
But this brings up a big strategic question. If Anthropic knew this would happen, if they knew it would crash the market and freak out their own inventors, why pull the trigger? Why not just keep selling the chatbot and collecting the easy money?
Because of the defensive moat. The source puts it very bluntly. Cannibalizing yourself is better than being eaten by a competitor.
Ah, the classic innovator's dilemma.
If Anthropic didn't release computer use to protect their subscription revenue, OpenAI or Google would have done it. It was inevitable. The technology was there.
So if Anthropic had said, no, we love our $20 seats, let's not release this, OpenAI just releases an agent next week.
And that OpenAI agent steals Anthropic's customers anyway? If Anthropic had held back to save their seats, a competitor would have released an agent that made those seats obsolete regardless.
So they chose to be the ones to disrupt their own business model rather than letting someone else destroy it for them.
Exactly. It's a survival strategy. You have to destroy your old business to build the new one.
There's another layer to this survival strategy that I found really compelling, and that's the idea of lock-in. The source talks about how computer use changes customer retention.
This is crucial for the business side. Think about a standard chatbot today. If you are using a chatbot for brainstorming or drafting emails, it's relatively easy to switch.
Yeah, if a better model comes out next month, I just cancel one and sign up for the other. There's no loyalty there. It's just text in, text out.
But an agent that has computer use access is different. This agent knows your internal workflows. It knows how to navigate your proprietary database. It has access to your file system. It knows that when you say run the report, you mean the specific report in the specific folder on the shared drive.
It becomes part of the infrastructure. It's not just a tool. It's a team member.
It effectively becomes the operating system layer of your business. It is much, much harder to fire an agent that is doing the work of 3 people and knows all your passwords and workflows than it is to cancel a generic chatbot.
So the stickiness is incredible. Once you integrate these agents, you are locked in.
That's the goal, the operating system lock-in. You aren't just a user anymore. You are dependent on that labor force.
So let's look at the big picture trade-off. The source outlines it as short-term pain versus long-term gain.
The short-term pain is real. We talked about the volatility. Usage-based pricing, that pay-for-the-work model, is much less predictable than a flat monthly subscription. Revenue might spike one month when you have a big coding project and drop the next when things are quiet.
And Wall Street hates uncertainty. They want that flat line going up and to the right forever.
They do. So the stock price might suffer initially. Investors might bail because they can't model the earnings. But the long-term gain, that's the prize. The company that wins digital labor, the company that provides the workers for the global economy, becomes the most valuable company on earth.
That's a winner-take-all game.
It really is. And the prize isn't just software revenue. It's a percentage of the world's GDP.
The source uses a great analogy to sum all of this up. The Netflix analogy.
Yes. This is the perfect way to visualize it. Imagine if Netflix had clung to their DVD rental business.
The red envelopes. I actually miss those sometimes.
We all have nostalgia, but remember the business model. They made money on shipping fees, and they made money on late fees, or the subscription that let you avoid them. It was a logistics business. When streaming became possible, they had a choice.
If they launched streaming, they kill the DVD business. They cannibalize themselves.
Exactly. If they had refused to launch streaming because they were afraid it would destroy their DVD rentals, where would they be today?
They'd be Blockbuster. Dead and gone.
Precisely. Streaming cannibalized the DVD business, yes. It destroyed that revenue stream completely. But it allowed them to take over the world of entertainment. Anthropic is doing the same thing. They are choosing the future digital labor over the present sauce seats.
It's a bold move. It's risky. But when you lay out the math like that, specifically the compute usage argument, that these agents burn way more cash than a human subscription brings in, it makes a lot of sense.
It's the only move that makes sense if you look at the trajectory of the technology. The seat is a relic of a time when humans were the only ones who could use computers.
That is a profound way to put it. The seat is a relic. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the agentic pivot, it leaves us with a lot to think about. We've gone from the panic of the suicide math to the realization of this massive labor market opportunity.
It changes how we view software entirely.
It does. And I want to leave you, the listener, with one final provocative thought that comes from this empty chair concept. We talked about how the agent becomes the primary user of the software. It's clicking the buttons, it's navigating the menu.
Right.
If Anthropic becomes the operating system, managing that labor, and the software is primarily talking to other software, what does the future of the human seat actually look like? Are we just the supervisors, or does the entire concept of software for humans just disappear?
That is the trillion-dollar question. If the user isn't human, does the software need a user interface at all? We might be heading toward a world where the back end is the only end.
A world of silent, invisible labor. Fascinating stuff. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.